My name is Emma. Ever since I dropped out of high school, I've poured everything into my work. I decided to leave high school because there was something I just had to do. Although my parents were worried, they supported my decision. I believe that I am where I am today because of their support. Recently, my parents, to whom I am deeply grateful, told me that they are considering letting go of our family home. This home is a single-family house that was handed down from my grandparents. It has been renovated over the years, but as it has been used for many years, it has started to show signs of wear and tear. With my parents getting older, they are considering moving to a barrier-free apartment and demolishing the family home. Indeed, I realized that our old home was indeed old, and so I proposed to my parents that we live together. I may get married eventually, so we might not be able to live together for long. However, I wanted to give back to my parents who had supported me without denying the decisions I made when I was young. So my parents and I moved into a new apartment. We now have more rooms than we did in our old house, and since we live on a high floor, my parents are delighted, saying, "The view is great, and we even have a hobby room." Then one day, while I was living peacefully with my parents, I got a call from my younger sister, Jane. Jane and I have not been on good terms for a long time. That's because she feels ashamed of me. When I decided to drop out of high school, Jane was furious. "Why are you quitting high school, Emma? I don't want any of my friends to find out that my sister dropped out of high school because it's embarrassing. From now on, pretend we don't know each other." Although Jane and I went to different high schools, it seems that me dropping out of high school was something to be ashamed of for Jane. Jane is a very hard worker and attended a higher ranked high school than I did, so she has always looked down on me. Jane, whose favorite phrase is, "Emma is stupid," made fun of me at the time, saying, "There's no way you're going to succeed in what you want to do. You can't even understand that, Emma, because you're stupid." I was tired of hearing Jane tell me almost every day that you're causing trouble for our parents by dropping out of high school, so you should leave. So as soon as I started earning money from part-time jobs after dropping out of high school, I left home. After 10 years have passed since then, and Jane had also left home. There was no communication between Jane and me, and since Jane started living alone in college, it seems she has not been in touch with our parents much either. When our parents decided to demolish our family home, they apparently consulted not only me, but also Jane. However, Jane just said, "I don't care about that old house. Do whatever you want." My parents were racking their brains, wondering, why did Jane turn out like that? So when they got a call from Jane, they were surprised. According to Mother, who answered the phone, it seems that Jane got married without telling our parents anything. "So you've decided to live in a condo, right? We'll come visit with your husband sometime. Show us around." With these words, it was revealed that Jane was married. My parents, who had no clue, seemed quite surprised, but Jane herself casually shrugged it off, saying, "Didn't I mention it?" It was also revealed that Jane wasn't planning on having a wedding ceremony, which felt quite off. Jane was a girly girl, who since her childhood had always dreamt of being a princess. She had even talked in detail about the kind of dress she wanted to wear at her wedding. It was quite strange that someone like her would get married without having a wedding ceremony. I wondered if her husband didn't have much money, but according to Jane, her husband worked at the same company as her. The company where Jane works is a well-known corporation, recognized by everyone nationwide. If he was working at such a company, he should have enough money, which made it even more mysterious. Finally, the day came when Jane visited her parents' house. "Wow, such a large and clean room. The view is amazing. Excuse our intrusion." Jane's husband, left standing, greeted as Jane, without any hesitation, began to explore each room, even though it was her childhood home. Jane's husband is named Scott. He is a fresh-faced man with an expensive-looking watch on his wrist. What was strange was that, despite his very proper appearance, he didn't meet our eyes at all. After introducing himself to the parents, Scott was exploring the rooms without any restraint, just like Jane. Your parents are amazing. The station is close, and there's a shopping mall just around the corner. You moved to a great place. Yeah, all thanks to Emma. When my mother smiled at me, I humbly replied, "It wasn't a big deal." To which Jane made a deliberately mean face, saying, "Really? You have an older sister? I didn't notice. I never thought that such a beautiful and expensive-looking room would have an older sister living here." Huh? Jane, Emma is not freeloading. My father was about to explain, but Jane ignored him. Pointing at me, she beckoned Scott over. Hey, Scott. Do you believe this ugly woman is my sister? This is Jane's sister you've been talking about? I didn't realize because you two look nothing alike. Suddenly mocked by Jane and Scott, I stood dumbfounded. My mother scolded, "Jane, what are you saying?" But Jane didn't seem to care. My sister couldn't even graduate high school. She's not the brightest. There's a big difference between us, you know. We, who have graduated from a state university. I was shocked when I heard that Jane's sister couldn't even properly graduate high school, but it seems like it's true. If she had someone like this in her family, it's no wonder Jane would be embarrassed. Laughing together, Jane and Scott opened the door to my room as they continued their conversation. And then, "Ugh!" she exclaimed in disgust. "What's the point of hoarding so much comic books? It's creepy. Are you still into that nerdy stuff?" My room's walls are covered with comic books, because I'm a comic book artist. The reason I dropped out of high school was because I wanted to dedicate myself entirely to comic books. Jane is the type that feels disgust towards such subcultures, what we'd call extroverted. Just like how Jane can't understand why I, being introverted and passionate about comics, I can't understand why Jane applies her mascara so heavily. Well, I'm a comic book artist. These are all my references. You're probably not even a successful comic book artist, are you? You're still mooching off mom and dad. It's disgraceful. Just get out already. Confused by what she was saying, I instinctively replied, "What?" "So just get out! Scott and I are going to be living in this house from now on." "What?" "Jane, I've heard nothing of this." Mother and father both exclaimed in surprise. Ignoring their shock, Jane laughed snidely. "Scott and I will take care of mom and dad. You're no longer needed, so get out. Aren't you embarrassed to still be mooching off them? Not only are you ugly, but you're also stupid." At Jane's words, Scott just chuckles. Holding back an angry mother, I said, "All right." Jane and Scott's attitude had not only upset my parents, I was furious too. I wouldn't let them get away with this. I decided to give in to Jane's demand. "All right, I'll move out in a few days, and you and Scott can live here. But remember, I'm not giving you any money." Sure. Bye, sis. Please, move out as soon as you can." After having their say, Jane and Scott headed home. "The next time we come, it'll be to move in," they triumphantly told my parents before leaving. My parents told me, "There's no need for you to move out." But I, who had sworn revenge on Jane and Scott, responded, "No, I'm moving out. I have a place to go," and moved out promptly. Jane and Scott soon moved into our family home. On the day of the move, "Have you moved out yet?" Jane asked over the phone. I replied in exasperation, "I'm on my way out now, so don't worry." Jane always behaves politely to our parents, never being mean to them. However, she often seemed to belittle me. To our parents, both Jane and I were their beloved daughters. They told Jane and Scott that it hurts to hear them badmouth me, but it seems the two didn't take it to heart. Then, a month later, just as I predicted, I got a call from Jane. As I picked up the phone, I thought, here it comes. And a nearly crying Jane blurted out, "Emma! The property management company of the apartment called me, saying they haven't received the rent. What's going on? They even said if I continue to be in arrears, they'll kick me out." "Why would I pay the rent? I don't live there anymore, do I?" "I've heard from mother and father. You were paying the rent because you wanted to show your gratitude to them, right? Why did you stop?" "Like I said, I don't live there, so I don't have an obligation to pay the rent." "Just bring the money right now. The utility bills are also ridiculously high." Being disgusted with Jane, who kept talking and hung up, I called my boyfriend. Liam, Jane just asked me to come over. I'm going to our parents' house. Okay, I'll come with you. I'm worried about you, Emma, and I haven't seen your parents in a while. The reason why I immediately had a place to go after leaving my parents' home is because my boyfriend, Liam, offered me a room. As we were considering marriage, this past month was a good practice period for us. I went to my parents' house with Liam. As I opened the door of the house, Jane, red with anger, showed up. Did you bring the money? Pay the money properly for the sake of showing gratitude to our parents. Do you think I'm a struggling cartoonist, Jane? How do you think I can afford the rent for such a luxury apartment? Well, I don't know, but you were able to pay until now, right? Please pay the rent and utility bills. I won't. Jane and Scott, you both work for respectable companies, right? Why can't you pay your own rent? At my question, Jane was at a loss for words. I noticed that Jane might not have the money. Jane was dressed in branded clothing from head to toe, and I noticed a luxury-looking watch on Scott's arm, who was also decked out in branded items. Isn't it that Jane and Scott can't pay the rent? Not that they won't? You said you wanted to take care of Mother and Father, but I heard you've left all the housework to Mother. Aren't you and Scott just living off Mother and Father? Jane, who was struck at the heart, bit her lip. Scott, who was not looking at me, but only at Liam, raised his trembling voice. Why is Liam here? Huh? Liam? Scott seemed startled, while Jane appeared nonplussed. Liam, who had been watching the sisters quarrel with a troubled look, then introduced himself with a smile. Ah, hello there. I see you already knew. I'm dating Emma with the intention of marrying her. What? Emma and Liam are dating? What the hell? Who is this Liam guy? Scott, seemingly agitated, addressed Jane, who seemed not to be following the conversation. Don't you know? He's a voice actor from an anime that caused a societal buzz. You've seen him on TV and all. What? Why is my sister dating such a guy? It's because Emma is the one who drew the original story for that socially influential anime. When Liam gently explained about me, Jane's face was a picture of shock. Actually, I had a series in a boys' magazine, and that comic had become so popular, it was considered a societal phenomenon. Even Jane, who was not well versed in comics, recognized the title and turned pale, seeming to regret all the times she had underestimated me now that she knew I was rich. I sighed at Jane's sudden change in attitude and told Jane and Scott, if you can't pay, then leave right now. I'll be demanding the 1 month's rent from you later. Don't say that, sis. Scott and I, we got hooked on gambling and ran out of money. It turned out that Jane and Scott had become deeply absorbed in slot machines and had lost a considerable amount of money. The reason they decided to live with their parents back home was also due to a lack of funds. It seemed they even borrowed money from shady sources, and most of their decent salary was going towards repaying that debt, which was quite shocking. I have no intention of helping Jane, who has always been mocking me. Our parents are moving again, so you and Scott should leave right away. Why are Mom and Dad moving? So you won't come crying to them. I can easily imagine debt-ridden Jane causing trouble for our parents. If you don't leave promptly, I will be charging you for the second month's rent as well. When I sternly made that clear, Jane and Scott reluctantly said, okay, and the gathering dispersed. My parents, who had been out, heard about this later and called Liam to apologize, but Liam seemed unfazed. Perhaps it would be best to avoid seeing Jane for a while, he said, and helped me find a new place for my parents to move to. I promptly bought a new apartment, and my parents prepared to move, once again. I'm sorry for the trouble, my parents said, and I replied, it's only natural to repay the favor to you both, who supported me when I made the drastic decision to drop out of high school. I am what I am today because of you. My parents were brought to tears at this. Jane and Scott seemed to be struggling with debt repayments even after that, but I had no obligation to show mercy, so I demanded full payment for the 1 month's rent and utilities I had fronted. But Jane and Scott didn't pay back the money and stopped answering their phones, so I called their workplace directly and finally received the payment. However, this caused everyone at their company to find out about the debt-ridden couple, Jane and Scott. Apparently, they can't quit their jobs because they need the money, and they continue to work, feeling quite uncomfortable. Afterwards, I married Liam. Our parents gave us their blessings, and we've been leading a happy life. Although I've cut ties with Jane and Scott as blood-related siblings, I wish for them to live strong.
My mom has always loved my younger sister more than me. Even then, I did my best to support my mom because I owed her for raising me. However, as soon as it was decided that my sister was coming back, my mom instantly cut me off. She shouted at me, "Get out, you parasite! If that's what you want, I won't put up with you anymore. If you want to do this, I'm going to make up for all the grudges I've had against you." My name is Emily, and I'm 28 years old. After graduating from college, I worked for a not bad company and lived with my mom. My dad passed away a few years ago, and my sister is already married and has a family. Originally, I was going to live alone too, but my sister's marriage was decided before mine. I couldn't leave my mom alone, so I still live here with her. Thinking back, my mom always adored my younger sister. My younger sister, Selena, is the complete opposite of me. She is cute and stylish. The only drawback I have with her is that she has a crooked personality. The amazing thing about her is that even her bad personality was covered up by her looks. She's a good-looking girl on the outside, so it's like she's living her life dexterously. My sister is the complete opposite of me, whose only merit is her earnestness, but she seems to be quite lovely to my mom. After my sister got married and left home, my mom often complained about me. She said, "Oh, no, I wish I could live with Selena instead of you. Why is Selena so pretty, but you have nothing to offer? Oh my god, I want to see Selena. I'm tired of seeing your face." Even now, I'm working to support this family. Why does she have to be so mean to me? Hey, Mom, I know you think Selena is cute, but you don't have to say that much. When I interrupted her in disgust, my mom got pissed off. "What? If you were as good as Selena, I wouldn't have to go through this every day." "What do you mean, you don't have to go through this? You don't have any problems in your life, do you? We've been living in this house since Dad passed away." "What's with that tone? You're not thinking you're doing me a favor by saying I did this for you, are you?" "I didn't mean it that way." "Okay, I have no choice but to live with you. If Selena hadn't got married, I would be living with her, not you." "Huh, okay, that's enough." We now live in a house that was rebuilt a few years before my dad died. It's now in my mom's name, but I'm the one making the remaining loan payments. But my mom always compares me to my sister and insults only me. I was at the end of my rope, living with my mom, who said hateful things to me every time she saw my face. Yet, there's a reason why I didn't give up on my mom. When my dad died, she cried for days. She didn't eat well and was so exhausted that people around her were so worried about her. I, as her family, have to support my mom from now on. I must protect my mom for my dad's sake. That is what I thought. As her eldest daughter, I've always had a strong sense of responsibility. Nowadays, I often get angry at my mom's words and actions. But after my dad passed away, my mom was the only parent I had. I couldn't hate her from the bottom of my heart. Then, one day, suddenly, my sister came to our house with her husband. As soon as she saw my mom, she said something outrageous. "Mom, we're having a hard time making ends meet." My sister was in tears, and my mom looked worried. She said, "Life is tough. What the hell is going on?" "My husband suddenly got laid off, and we can't afford to pay the apartment rent." "What? That's horrible." "I can only rely on you, Mom. If it's okay with you, I want to live with you." "Selena, this isn't good." I realized instantly, but it was already too late. Before I could interject, my mom had already said yes. Yes, yes, yes. My lovely Selena is in trouble. I have to help. Really, Mom? Of course. Besides, I've always wanted to live with you. Wow, thank you. I love you, Mom. My mom was overjoyed to hear my sister saying, I love you. They agreed on their own, without any consideration of my opinion. I wasn't satisfied with this, so I went to my mom and said, Hey, wait a minute, Mom. I live in this house, too. My mom said, So? She didn't change her expression at all. I can't have two people moving in here all of a sudden. I have my own room. I don't care what you think. The house is on my name, right? That's true, but... I tried to talk back, but my mom sighed and said, If you have such a problem with it, you should get out of the house. What? I froze at my mom's sudden remark. What are you talking about? Didn't you hear me? I told you to leave. In the first place, you're nothing more than a replacement for Selena for me, you know? That's horrible. You don't have to talk to me like that. I don't want to parasite like you. If Selena comes back, I don't need you. My mom told me so clearly, and I was blinded by the darkness. I knew my mom adored my sister. I've been taking care of my mom all my life, and to have her cut me off so easily... My sister, who left my mom after marriage without thinking, was loved so much. And I, who have supported my mom for so many years, was treated unreasonably. I really didn't understand every single thing my mom said and did. I was so frustrated and miserable that I almost burst into tears. My sister, seeing me like this, opened her mouth with a sly sneer. She said, Mom also said this. Sis, why don't you get the hell out of here? What? She said, If you don't leave, there won't be room in the house, right? We don't need you. What do you mean you don't need me? I'm the one who has been supporting Mom until now. So what? She wants to live with me, right? We don't need you anymore. You're trash. With that out of the way, Selena called my mom and her husband, and together they began to plan a schedule for the move. Even though I was hurting right beside her, I am so happy. Let's have grilled meat on the day we move in. Wow, you're so nice. I'll get the ingredients. Everyone was so excited that my presence was like nothing to them. As I stood there in shock, I heard my sister cursing at me again. Hey, what are you doing just standing there like that? I told you to get out of here. But you can't just say that. We don't need you, parasite. Get the hell out of here and give us some room. I'll be out by the end of the week. That should be fine, right? I struggled to keep my voice down and finally complied. Meanwhile, my mom was planning a short trip with my sister. You'd better move out by the time we get back from our trip, okay? With those final words, my mom left with my sister and her husband. To my mom, I was just a distraction, so as long as Selena was there, I really didn't matter. If you're willing to do that, I won't put up with it anymore. If it comes to this, I'm going to put you through hell. No longer feeling sympathy for my mom, I was determined to take revenge. From that point on, it was quick. I immediately contacted a moving company and quickly moved in while my mom and my sister were away. The movers asked me curiously, this one too? Yes. I heard you're moving alone. May I move all the stuff in the house? Yes. Please make sure everything is clean. I returned to them with a big smile. I was moving to the company housing. I heard that the company housing was still available, and the company invited me to move in several times, but I refused because my mom was there. This time, I found out there were still vacancies and decided to start the move-in procedures immediately. I never expected to start my company housing life in this way, but when I finally moved in, I immediately liked it. The room was even nicer than I had imagined. I was getting used to my new life in company housing. When I checked my phone, I found that I had received an incoming call from my mom and sister. The voicemail message said, "Show up at my house now." I had expected this, but the number of incoming calls was far more than I had imagined. I knew that if I ignored the messages, they might show up at work, so I went by my mom's house on my way home from work. When I opened the door, I found my mom and sister waiting for me with a fierce look on their faces. They said, "Hey, what the hell is going on? There's nothing in the house. Even my favorite refrigerator and toaster. Where did you take them?" I responded calmly, amazed at their ranting and raving. "Where?" "To my new house." "What do you mean? Don't take it without permission." "Yeah, give it back now." "Give it back? Why?" "Why? What are you—" "The furniture and appliances belong to Mom, didn't they?" My sister's comments made me burst out laughing. "What's so funny?" "I'm so sorry. I just thought you were misunderstanding," my sister said. "What do you mean?" She raised her voice. I decided to explain the facts to her. "I don't know what you know, but I bought all the furniture and appliances here. Since I'm moving out, I'm supposed to take my stuff with me, right?" "What? What do you mean?" I said, "All the furniture and appliances that were left in this house. I bought them with my own money. Do you understand?" "But that doesn't mean you should take it all with you. It was here from the beginning." "What I do with my things is my business, right? Can you please stop fussing about it?" My sister was huffing and puffing and staring at me with a devilish look on her face. And the money in the bank was zero. I couldn't use Mom's credit card when we were on vacation, so I had no choice but to borrow money from a cash advance to pay for the trip. "Oh, really? So? You took all the money in the bank, didn't you?" "Of course, because it was my money. What's wrong with taking it all?" When I lightly provoked her, my sister turned to me and shouted, "Don't play with me!" She was getting closer and closer to me, her face turning red as she yelled at me, "Give me back the money! That bank book should have contained Dad's insurance money." What? What are you talking about? It's not in there." "No way! When I came to this house before, there was a lot of money in there." "That was just me supplementing my income with a portion every month. It's just that it's been accumulating." "What do you mean? Then what about Dad's insurance money?" "It's gone a long time ago. Your favorite mom spent it all." As I said that, my sister turned her head back to my mom. My mom quickly turned her head away and made a face like, "Oh my God." "Wait a minute. Mom, is it true?" "Well, that's—" my sister asked fearfully, but my mom only mumbled. My sister, who had grown numb to the situation, yelled at my mom. "What the hell is going on? I came home because I thought Dad's insurance money was in this house." Trying to calm Selena, who lost her temper, my mom muttered, "Calm down. How can I calm down? It's your fault for spending Dad's money, isn't it? What are you going to do about it?" "Wow, I was just happy that you and I could live together again. You came back because you wanted to live with me too, right?" "Huh? You've got to be kidding me. I only came back to pay off my debt." "Debt?" As I found out from the conversation between my mom and sister, it seems that my sister and her husband became addicted to gambling, and they ended up with a large amount of debt. In an attempt to repay the debt, they took to gambling again, but the debts continued to mount. Her husband wasn't able to go to work and was fired from his job in the name of restructuring. My sister and her husband, who were neck deep in huge debts, had came back to this house for our dad's insurance money. My mom, unaware that she was being taken advantage of by my sister, kicked me out of the house on the spur of the moment. And this is the result. Now you understand, don't you? There's no more insurance money for our dad in this house. All that is left is the mortgage. I'm going to leave now, and you guys will pay the rest of the mortgage, okay? Then, unexpectedly, my sister came running up to me with tears in her eyes. She said, "Wait a minute, sis! My husband and I both have debts. There's no way we can pay the loan." "That is none of my business. And you wanted to live with your mom, didn't you?" "No, I didn't know this was happening. Mom always said she wanted to live with you too. So, I'm so happy for you." "Oh, no. Wait, don't go, Emily." "Right, Emily, please stay here. Oh, for God's sake." I shook off my clinging mom and sister with all my might. I've supported you, Mom, in this house all my life. I even paid the mortgage on the house. But you only favor Selena, and when she comes back, you said, "Get out of here, parasite." Are you kidding me? She is not a cute little sister. She is just a human parasite. I will never come back to this house again. Mom, Selena, you guys will have to live in debt at best. With these words, I left my parents' house. My mom and sister clung to me until the very end, but I had no reason to listen to them anymore. It has been almost a month since then. My mom and sister, who were impatient, began to work part-time in day jobs. Even so, there was no way they would have enough money. In the end, they had to sell the family home and move to a cheap apartment where they fought every day. Selena said, "Mom, it's because you said you were going to kick her out. I could have used her if you had let her stay there." My mom said, "What? I did it to make room for you guys." "What? You can't live without our money, can you?" "Oh, you two. You said sweetly that you wanted to live with me, but in the end, you're only after the money." "So what? You're worthless other than money." "What? Watch your mouth. Get out of here." "You get out of here, you bitch." Now, they can barely get enough to eat for the day. They can't even afford to buy one clothing item. The three of them should get along and cooperate. They really are helpless people. As for me, on the other hand, I'm spending a fulfilling life at the company housing where I moved to. My commute to work is shorter than before, so I have more time to myself. I was shocked when I was kicked out of my parents' house, but now I would rather say, "Thank you for kicking me out." From now on, I want to spend my days happily, thinking only of my own happiness.